Welcome to Hindsight Tonight. I'm Damian Muziani, and here's your news. Leading off, on the second anniversary of the most violent day ever on Capitol Hill, Congress celebrated with a reenactment of sorts, taking a Modern Times record 15 vote counts to finally elect a new Republican majority Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Tempers flared and insults were hurled, and sure, that looks bad, but we've been at this for a couple hundred years now. This is just how America runs. It's pretty tame when you compare it to other first world powers. Here's what happens when you diss a president in South Africa. At least that handy red and white dress code helps you to know exactly who to punch, right? Or how about in Japan? The parliament there violently opposed an attempt to bolster their own military. Talk about a conflict of interest. Look, we're as sensitive as anyone to the racially charged undertones of the movie Kill Bill, but why feed into it? And maybe, before Russia falsely assumed that Ukraine would just roll over like a bunch of pussies 1 year ago, they should have first watched this clip from a few years earlier. This is Ukraine during peacetime, debating each other on, I don't know, whether to raise the tax on borscht or something. This is a time to show grace, folks. Fox News shows grace, but unfortunately it's Nancy Grace, former prosecutor, former talk show host, and current owner of nostrils so flared it looks like she could snort the entire city of Medellin in Colombia. Grace was quick to respond to the arrest of accused Idaho co-ed killer Bryan Kohberger by saying Kohberger was clearly guilty because...
What does that tell me? He is obsessive. He is fastidious. He's about 6 feet tall. He's socially awkward. He planned this whole thing out. Did you...
No. Wait a minute, Nancy. 6 feet tall and fastidious and awkward? So that means the killer could be Mr. Bean? Way to narrow that down. Who needs that silly DNA, which in this case stands for Dumb Nancy's Advice? Look, we're not saying Kohberger is innocent, but when will media groups learn that Nancy Grace screws these things up all the time? Did you forget about those Duke lacrosse players? You know, the ones that were falsely accused of rape and yet...
I know that there are witnesses that are ultimately going to come forward and name the 3 men in the bathroom with this girl.
No! There were no witnesses to the rape because the rape didn't happen. But 3 innocent young men were chased around by a one-woman flaming, pitchfork-wielding mob of townspeople named Nancy. And how about addressing the accidental and tragic death of a toddler?
Did mommy booze it up and kill her baby? My question is, why no murder one charges? But hold on, let's start our experiment. Here you go, here's the one.
No! No murder charges because Nancy Grace shamed the mother into burning herself alive. But we know who really lit the match, right? What else is heating up? Us? That's what the Washington Post reports. Despite that December cold blast that froze up much of the U.S., snow cover is at a historic low. Remember those 28 inches that fell in Buffalo 10 days ago? Well, now it's gone. Most scientists blame global warming for the high temps, but it's clear that the real heat source is this high-pressure hot air system centered right over Washington, D.C. And that's your news. Have a great week. Don't forget to like us and subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday with Fresh Hindsight.